Hi everybody. Sorry I'm a little late, but I had to take a little break for myself. So okay. One hour was good. Um okay, so we had two main storylines and then a third little whatever. But it's gonna happen in October, so okay. The main storylines. Danny is back in town. Danny and Cricket are back in town and they're planning their wedding, which is what's gonna happen in October. But that's really the B storyline. The other storyline was because Danny's back in town, he came to see Daniel, and Daniel was in the park practicing guitar. Tessa wasn't there for some reason. I don't know why. Um, so he was there alone, or so he thought. And Danny was listening to him play and uh, didn't interrupt him and let him play, and then clapped. And then it threw Daniel off because he didn't know anybody was there. They started talking, and Danny told Daniel that they're getting married, you know, and that he's starting to have feelings for Tessa, but he doesn't know what to do with them because he knows that she would rather be with Mariah, and he wants her and Mariah to be happy. Um, Yada yada yada, right? Okay, and then the other storyline, like I said, there were two main storylines. The other storyline is how the Newmans are trying to kind of plot their next move with Kane, because Kane wants all the major businesses, which I talked about before, and he wants to make a super conglomerate. Okay. Um, there are a couple holes here. Um, that I don't know. Well, I'm going to start with Daniel and Tessa. Now, I don't know how I feel about this because I really was a champion of Tessa and Mariah. But the more I think about it, and it just looks like they're going to write them to where they separate at least, which theoretically means that Tessa can be with whoever she wants. Now, the only problem I had with it in the beginning was because I could see it coming. Um, because I remember I said this way back. I said, well, looks like Tessa and Mariah are headed for Splitsville because I haven't seen Tessa and Mariah together in a scene for a while. And then they were starting to have Tessa and Daniel have a lot of scenes together. And then I was like, oh, there's chemistry there. Or there's a possibility for chemistry. Oh no. I was already mapping all this out. Okay. I didn't think they would actually go through with it because, as you've seen in my videos, if you watch them, um, I sometimes talk about, oh, it looks like it's going to go this way, that way. And then I'm like, oops, I was wrong. Didn't see the other thing coming, like, at all. So, but sometimes I'm pretty good at noticing stuff like this because, well, I just know what a chemistry read looks like or a test. And so I'm like, they're testing them. And then, you know, so while I want Mariah and Tessa together if they can make it, I understand that Mariah, in order for this to really be happening, Mariah has to open up because Tessa has told her she's more than willing to listen to her and she's not going to judge her and all the things, right? Okay, but that's her side. Mariah has to come to the table, if you will, willing to talk and be completely open with everything. And if she's not willing to talk, then it's not going to go anywhere. So it's up to the writers to see what they want to do because it just depends. I mean, if they want to go like, well, and then the other, not problem, but the other side is that, okay, so forget what I just said for a minute. Let's pretend they go down path number 2. Path number 2 would be that Mariah continues to not open up, and Tessa finally gives up and says, okay, well, I've given you this amount of time, 6 months or whatever, and I told you that I wasn't going to wait forever, and you haven't opened up, so I give up. If you want a separation or whatever, I'm going to give it to you because I've tried everything I can think of. Okay? So then that would kind of signify to me that they're going to go down the Tessa and Daniel storyline. Okay. Problem with that is some people, they might get backlash from the LGBT plus community because they could say, well, wait a minute. You wrote a same-sex couple, you did the whole marriage, and now wedding, and now you don't want to do that anymore. Is she supposed to be bi? Were we supposed to believe that she was always straight? You're going to have people with questions like that. Okay? And I'm talking about, like, I'm just having, well, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I'm just having an open dialogue and saying that these are the things I'm thinking about, and I'm not even angry. Okay? What I'm saying to you is that you might encounter some angry people. That's all I'm saying. So, who knows? Daniel's big plan is to try to forget about his feelings for Tessa. Now, being the hopeful, optimistic person I am, I would say that's going to be a tall order because most people who develop feelings in secret have a hard time giving them up. So I don't know if that plan is going to go too well. Okay. As for the wedding, and this is really, really weird for me to say, but I don't care. I don't care. The thing that pisses me off isn't even the wedding. They did Connor Floyd dirty. I'll explain. You know how the character of Chance unalived a couple weeks ago, right? When the vacation from you know where was about to end and Chance gave up his life, whatever, right? Okay, so me being the this is the right thing to do person said, well, hopefully they give him a proper something to memorialize his time on the show and that he was an important part. And I want to see people's reactions to his departure. Okay? That's all I wanted. Didn't get that because it happened off screen. Why do I know that? Because when Cricket was talking to Lauren, who's going to design her dress, by the way, she says, oh, yeah, well, it was really hard because we went to Chance's funeral and it was really sad. And Nina was there, but we were there to comfort her. And they give her proper military ceremony and, all the things. And he's buried in the so-and-so cemetery. Okay, so you couldn't do anything on screen? Like nothing? Did you not talk to Connor Floyd at all? Did you not get any of his input? Or was he so busy, which I don't believe, that he wouldn't like some kind of, not to be on screen, obviously, but I mean, I've seen it a million times. You can have a picture up. You did him dirty. You did him dirty. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have a moment with that one because this is you take the best guy in the whole thing and you do that to him. Wow. And you put him through some stuff, okay? Like you had him marry Abby. They had a kid through surrogate, and then they get divorced because she can't handle the fact that he's away trying to save the country, and then he dies, and you don't even give him a proper anything. Wow. Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.